Town Commission meeting of December the 12th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Tompeck,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Here.
Commissioner Campo,
Here.
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield.
Here.
Okay, I don't have any public comment cards. All right, so we'll go ahead and proceed to the consent agenda. Any discussion or a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Aye.
Commissioner Campo,
Yes.
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield,
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck.
Yes, that brings us down to item 4, proclamations. First one is proclamation for James W. Campo, service to the town. Would the town clerk please read the proclamation?
Whereas on November 4th, 2014, James W. Campo was elected to serve on the Town Commission representing the residents of Sewell's Point. And whereas Commissioner Campo was nominated by his peers to represent the town on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, where he served for over 4 years. Whereas Commissioner Campo was a champion for the beauty and hometown feel of Sewell's Point. Whereas during his tenure, Commissioner Campo supported property rights, having a tree city, and recognizing our veterans. Whereas Commissioner Campo has been a valued commission member for 9 years, and the town appreciates the time and knowledge he has given to the community. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Commission of the Town of Sewell's Point, Florida, hereby proclaims December 30th, 2023 as Commissioner James W. Campo Day in the Town of Sewell's Point, and expresses appreciation of his devoted service to the town and his residents. Awesome.
Here's the proclamation you just read. Thank you very much.
Did I turn it around or let me?
Tina does everything right.
Do I turn it around or let me?
Yeah, just so I don't turn it back. I still want them to second my motion.
Well, it's quite an honor to have a whole day named after you. But maybe it's my height sensitivity, but they chose one of the shortest days of the year. A few days after the winter solstice. Now you got guys like Robert Q here and Kevin Krizda. I mean, I just feel like totally short right now. But really, it's an honor to have a day named after you, or rather 10 and a half days of sunlight to name after you. Thank you very much. I want to thank all my town staff. I want to help my own staff. I want to thank Shannon Chapman and Susan Hill and Karen Seo, as far as my commission that I'm now turning my back on. You know, but truth be told, I was very happy when Kaya Mayfield was first elected, because at that point I became the 4th tallest town commissioner.
True.
And before that, I was happy that Frank Fender became elected to the commission, because that's when I became the fourth most handsome. Seriously, it's an honor to serve this community for the past 9+ years. 9+ years, it's crazy. I've only missed 4 meetings in 9 years. Sewell's Point has been home to my children, my 5 children. Reagan's here. Shout out to Reagan. So together we raised 5 children in Sewell's Point, brought 4 babies home from the hospital, Sewell's Point, and 1 from China into our community. I built a home and my business. I've lived on the river. I've lived in North Sewell's Point. I've lived in South Sewell's Point. This is a special place because of our waterways. It's a tree city, and we're protected by the greatest police force that I know of. Chief Tina and Lieutenant Ross, I want to thank you for your dedicated service. And truly, it's the people and the influence that are derived from Sewell's Point that make this an exceptional village that mean the most to me. You know, my parents, and my mom especially, instilled upon me a sense of duty to serve others. In fact, when she was hospitalized 6 years ago, I was vice mayor, and it was in the hospital, and I got a call. I don't know if you remember Dan Morris, but his attendance wasn't the best. And soon after becoming vice mayor, I was going to have to be the acting mayor, and I was panicked. And I was in the hospital room helping my dad, waiting for my brother to take on the next shift. And I was whispering with my dad in the back, like, I don't know what to do. You know, I have to step in for the mayor tonight. And my mom was like a long way off, and she was on fentanyl. She was under a lot of pain medications. And my dad and I were trying to figure out, my dad's over here. Shout out to my dad. And we were whispering in the corner, Dad, you know, what should I do? I really need to be this commission meeting. And from about 100 feet away, my mom shouted out, groggy, honey, let him go. He needs to be the mayor. He's going to be a great mayor. And I'm like, look at this. And so I came off here just as the time I got off the elevator and my brother came on. So we kind of did the tag team. And Dr. John Nemi, John here, Steph? There he is. So this is how special this community is to me. He was so gentle by saying, we're going to put your mom in the 5th floor or something like that. And I found out the 5th floor was the oncology floor, and I didn't know that. And my mom was urging me, go be a good mayor. Like at least, you know, someone thought I was a good mayor. My mom on fentanyl, you know. But I came here, and I never forget sitting up here. Jackie was on the commission with me. It was 7:02. It was 7:03. I was confused whether I should have been here or not. And she has these gorgeous, green, intense eyes. And Jackie just looked at me. She goes, you need to start the meeting. You need to start the meeting. And I did. Unfortunately, that was the last night that I saw my mom. But Mom would be proud, because during my term of service, I only missed 4 meetings. Now, 2 were for sickness, and Kai will like this. 2 were during the time that we were rewriting the comprehensive plan, okay? So all 4 days involved some nausea and slight vomiting, okay? When people receive awards or days named after them, they say it is humbling. Well, let me tell you what's humbling. Humbling is waking up face down in the mud, being insulted at this dais when people send you emails and they use their 3 minutes to tell you crazy things like the moms shouldn't be by the playground pushing kids on strollers. And a man stood up here and said, James Campo mailed me a package of human poop with a hate note. And there was a lady that just this week sent an email mentioning my children and their mother and said that I had turned Sewell's Point into a trailer park. Okay. So looking at those folks and maintaining your character is very difficult. But I found these experiences to be faith builders. So it's actually been a benefit of me to serve because you've helped me build my own integrity and build my own faith and character. And at the end of the day, I'm called, my faith says that I am called to serve others while demonstrating the love of Christ, who told us to love our adversaries. So you have really benefited me in my own character building, and I really, really thank you for that. And this experience has been one that I will never forget. And there's just one thing that I want to ask you, and that is to support the efforts of the staff and this commission wholeheartedly. They're a great bunch. They work hard. And be a good neighbor. Love thy neighbor. And thanks for celebrating with me tonight.
I'd like to say a couple of personal words, too. James has been a terrific leader over the years. I've only been on the commission for 3 years, but we've tackled some very difficult problems over the last 3 years, and obviously before that. And as a commission, we've been able to work through them, even though we didn't necessarily all agree all the time. Anyway, your experience has been very helpful to me, and I appreciate your help very much. Okay, I think we're going to, well, let me see. I've got a list of folks here I'd like to recognize who came out to either celebrate you or to wish you fond farewell as quickly as possible. I'm not sure which they are. We have a couple of former Martin County administrators, Russ Blackburn and Taryn Krizdas here today. Eula Clark. Tom Campenny. Is Paul Luger here? Okay. Amy Pritchett. Jen Russell. I saw Anthony Bona in the back. There he is. Carolyn Timon. Kevin Powers. I don't see Doug Smith. No, I don't see Doug Smith. Nita Denton.
We didn't see him yesterday either.
Dan Hudson. I remember you. And Mark Klingensmith. Let's see, I think I forgot a couple. I'm sorry, Ruth Petruski? And Lydia Lehan.
Lydia.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I butcher that name that badly, huh? Okay, we're going to take a short recess so we can have some refreshments and you can bid farewell to James Campo. About 15 minutes, folks.
Should be fine.
Okay, let's go ahead and resume the meeting to a slightly smaller crowd. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a 40-year service award, ICMA, for Mr. Daniels, and Russ Blackburn, an ICMA ambassador, will make the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that.
Let that door close and we get going.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I'm pleased to be here. I'm Russ Blackburn. I'm a senior advisor for the International City County Management Association. But I've had the good fortune of meeting several of you. I'm also the previous Port St. Lucie manager and Martin County administrator, so I've got a fair amount of experience in the Treasure Coast. So ICMA, International City County Management Association, was founded in 1914 and was founded as a reaction to some of the bossism and cronyism that was going on in larger cities throughout our nation at that time. And the whole concept was that local government should be driven by policy from elected officials. You are the closest to the people. You get to have a really firsthand experience of what your community needs. But that set up a system where there's a appointed professional manager. And since then, the form of government has evolved. It's the most prevalent form of local government in the United States. Most cities, most counties now have a professional manager or administrator. Now, if you think about 1914, it's not really that long ago, particularly when you have a manager who's been here 40 years in local government. Now, you weren't here in 14, Robert, I know, but you've seen a lot of changes and a lot of betterment in our local government and our communities. So Robert is your town manager, I think is a person and a background that you can really appreciate and learn from. In his 40 years in local government service, he's worked in law enforcement for the bulk of that career and then became a generalist city manager in multiple communities. And the one consistent thread about a 40-year career in local government is public service. You really have to care about helping the community, helping the public to better the lives of our citizens. So I'm very pleased to present to Robert Daniel the 40-year award and recognition from the International City County Management Association for 40 years as a local government professional.
I apologize that this takes away from some of the limelight of Commissioner Campo, but, you know. Obviously, y'all know I'm having a lot of fun, and we get a lot of hard work done, and I appreciate your cooperation. And it's, you know, what Russ said is true. It's all about public service. And I've been fortunate enough to be paid for my public service, and my hat's off to all of you because you do this by volunteer, and to put up with some of the things that you have to put up as a volunteer. You know, I have to put up with it, but I get paid to do that. So anyhow, you all take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us down to additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda. Do we have any changes, or can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Campo?
Aye.
Commissioner Kurzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fender?
Aye.
Okay, let me see. That brings us down to item 12, new business, engineering services agreement with CapTech. Mr. Daniels?
Yes, if you recall, probably, I think it's been 4 or 5 months when we went out, October, I'm just sticking in my head, so maybe it's not 4 or 5 months, but we went and we did the RFQ for engineering services, and we came up with 2 firms, one that obviously Captech that we're familiar with, and they came out number 1 through the search, and then we also have a backup, CMA, for engineering services. CMA, I'm planning on doing a site visit to their location, and, you know, we'll be doing something similar, approving a contract once it's negotiated. So we have them in our stable of engineering services. But for tonight, it's the Captech agreement. I think you all have it in front of you. It's pretty much a standard continuing service agreement, very similar to the one that you all approved, I think it was 3 years ago. So, Joe, do you have anything you want to add? Not tonight, jeez. So, but, you know, it's obvious that, you know, we've gotten a lot accomplished in this town, obviously from the direction from the commission, but also with our town engineer and his capable staff on getting us where we're at. And I think, you know, yesterday was kind of celebrating the kickoff for the septic to sewer program. And I think, you know, we're going to have a lot of good things going on in this community for the next 5 or 6 years. I think having Captech here with us as one of our partners is definitely an asset.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes, and Town Manager, you may have already said this, I apologize if I'm asking it. Are we going to have another one of these for the other?
Yes.
Okay, just to clarify. Then I would make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Kurzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fender?
Aye.
Commissioner Campo?
Aye.
Okay, that brings us to commission and staff closing comments. Mr. Daniels?
Yes, as part of our process going forward, I'm doing monthly updates, and I sent one out in reference to, you know, what we're doing by way of a town and the different items that were on my objectives of getting the communications out. And basically, the communications plan, we've been working with Rachel Snyder Events, and they were part of our Tree Day celebration that we did. And they'll be doing some recaps of our commission meetings, again, highlighting for the residents so they can better obtain the knowledge of what we're doing as a town and the direction that the commission's going in. So it's kind of a 3-pronged communications plan. So they're on board with doing the recaps and any of promoting any of the events that we have throughout the year. The additional event that we're going to have this year will be towards April 30th, which is going to be our Arbor Day. We had the Tree Day, but now we can actually have time and schedule it. And, you know, the police department and the town hall staff will be doing a lot of the work as well. So, so that's a good thing that we'll be doing. The second phase is kind of looking at not only our website, but our ability to do video. If you noticed yesterday during the ceremony that we had for the groundbreaking, we also were videotaping it. So Tom has taken over those duties of packaging those videos and putting them up on our YouTube channel. So we have that. We also have the video from the holiday open house on Sunday, and we still had our Tree Day video that had to get edited. So Tom's handling the editing of that as part of his duties. So that's kind of our second prong. And then the third part of it is continuing and improving upon what we've been doing, posting items on the website, communicating through you know, Breakfast with Bob. You know, now we're getting back into the season. I'm going to start that up so we can have some quarterly meetings with the residents. And I invite any of you that want to attend to to come in and attend, looking at other ways of communicating with the residents, the newsletters, obviously a lot of people do more computer reading, but there are residents that still like having a newsletter in their hand. So we're going to be promoting at least 3 times a year the newsletters and doing the updates. The monthly updates that we're going to be doing as well will be on a separate section in our website once we're able to improve our website to where we want it to be. That might not come immediately because we have a contractual arrangement with our current vendor. So, and we haven't been able to get them to give us what we want. So, but we'll be working on that during the year. And then just, that's kind of the communications plan, the septic to sewer project. I think you all know about that from our groundbreaking yesterday, but just for the public's knowledge, we're taking the 169 connections, which will basically run from Town Hall south to Pineapple. And we've also, at the last meeting, we approved the contract for doing the next section, which will take us into High Point from Pineapple. So, and that's 171 connections. So Joe's staff is working on getting that design work done, and hopefully we can, move through the 169, and then shortly after that get in and do the 171. We also have the disposition of the town property on Heritage, 7 Heritage. Obviously, the marketing efforts are involved with that. They've had some feedback. I know Yara was here earlier, but she's working hard at that. And at the meeting in January, she's going to be coming in with some of the marketing materials that they've been using, just so you have an idea of what they've been doing. The Town Hall property at 78 South Sewell's Point Road, the key thing there, and we even found out with the supplies that we need to put on site for the septic to sewer, the pipes and so forth, there's just so much room on that site that you can fit things. So again, the recommendation is to not list the property until we can get the construction done. The construction on the Phase 3 resiliency project, Joe's been working on getting the bid documents back out on the market, and we're probably looking about getting those back towards the end of January, pretty much. So, and then once we get that, hopefully we'll have some information. Chloe's here tonight, and she's been working hard with DEP to, follow up on our funding request, and hopefully it'll all mesh, and we'll have a great 2024 where we're moving ahead with the resiliency project as well. The only caution I have is just we have to be considerate of the cash flows. It's nice to have all these projects and moving, but I want to make sure that we have enough money to do the things that we have to do. Our service delivery can't decrease because we have to divert funds. So it's a kind of a juggling act that we'll be doing in the future, but and I'll be communicating back with the commission and letting you know how well we're doing on the juggling act as we move ahead. And we might have to look at other options down the road, but right now I'm taking the positive side, and hopefully we can do that well and get those 2 projects done and completed. And then we have our assistant town attorney, and we have a few minutes to do the sunshine minute in the sunshine, I guess.
Before we go to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I ask a quick
Oh,
question?
yeah.
Actually, the question is for Mr. Campo. When we originally talked about the communications plan, you were the one who brought it up, and I wanted to make sure that what we have written here is what you were hoping for, or were you looking for something else, something more detailed, something additional that's not included here?
I think you have the right person. I think rather than just paying someone on an hourly as needed basis, it would be good to have some sort of central document that everyone knows what their responsibilities are, because you know, it's gonna be very, I mean, how many people have asked you, what are those pipes doing on Sewell's Point Road? We haven't sent out anything on what that is. So, I'm happy to help you guys, you know, through the end of the month, not the 31st, the 30th, with that information. But a communications plan is just like a comprehensive plan or a financial plan. I mean, it's an actual bona fide, you know, textbook thing. So I think you've got the right person. I think she's very energetic and trustworthy. But it's not what I had in mind, but I could see very much how, you know, it could be something that works.
So I'm wondering if we can, you know, go through the contract and make sure that there's something additional that we think is needed, we can put it in there. I don't think that would be a problem, right?
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. Susan?
Okay, I'll try to keep this to a minute. So I provided in your materials, and I don't know if anybody actually had a chance to read a copy of a recent decision from the Florida's fourth DCA, which is the appellate decision from the City of Sebastian case that I think everybody has heard about to some degree or another in the media. And I want to say, first of all, I'm not suggesting that I think anything like this would ever happen in Sewell's Point. I think you all are very careful and serious about respecting the Sunshine Law, unlike the people involved in the City of Sebastian case. But in the opinion that I provided you, and I'll tell you in a minute exactly where it is, there's some really good discussion and language about how to make that judgment call of what kind of communications you can have among yourselves without it becoming a public meeting that's subject to the Sunshine Law. I thought you might also be curious to know the facts of what actually happened here. So this case arose out of back in the height of COVID. There was a city council meeting scheduled, a regular city council meeting scheduled, and the city manager announced that it was going to be canceled because of COVID. They were shutting down the public meetings. 3 of the council members were upset that the council meeting was canceled, I guess because they had plans for what they were going to do at the meeting. So they decided to get together and hold the meeting anyway. They used a pass key to get into the council chambers, which was locked. There were no lights on. The 3 of them were sufficient to form a quorum, and at the meeting, the purported meeting, they voted to fire the manager, fire the city clerk, and city attorney, and replace the mayor with one of the 3 people, with Mr. Gilliams, who is the appellant in this case. And so they were subsequently convicted. 2 of the 3, including Gilliams, were convicted and sentenced to jail time for Sunshine Law violations, because as you know from your annual presentations, there are criminal penalties potentially for Sunshine Law violations. Gilliams was also convicted of perjury for lying to an investigator, and he appealed. The 3rd council member involved entered into a plea deal. So he got the perjury conviction reversed in this case, and most of the discussion in this opinion that I gave you is about the perjury conviction as well as a constitutional challenge to the Sunshine Law, which didn't go anywhere with the court. But what is interesting is the concurring opinion. I'm going to talk about that just briefly. After this appeal, on October 25th, I just checked to see what the status was. Mr. Gilliams began serving a 45-day sentence in the Indian River County Jail and for the Sunshine Law violation. So by my calculation, he may have gotten out this past weekend. I didn't see anything in the news about it. So like I say, never going to happen here, but so the concurring opinion in case decisions like this, the majority opinion is written by one of the judges, and then if one of the judges agrees with the decision but has something he or she wants to say, they write a concurrence. And so there's a concurrence by Judge Sicklin that's, I think, noteworthy for the discussion of the Sunshine Law, and that's pages 7 to 9, the last 3 pages in the handout that I gave you. And he goes into he talks at great length about hold on a second excuse me while I change documents. About the risks of these informal meetings that suddenly turn into meetings that should have been public meetings under the Sunshine Law. And one thing I wanted to mention is that if you have colleagues in other states, not all states have such a stringent requirement as Florida, which basically says that even two of you cannot have a private discussion about town business in a private meeting. Many other states, the restriction is that a quorum of the commission cannot have such a discussion, but individuals can. Florida is different, some other states are too. So, but particularly, I would just try, I'm not gonna read it to you or even try to summarize it, but I would encourage you to read page 7 of the decision, of the printout of the decision, the third to last page. Judge Sicklin says, whenever two or more officials privately discuss in any manner whatsoever a foreseeable issue of any magnitude inside the other's office, or at a coffee shop, or in the spectator audience of a child's soccer match, or at a statewide education conference, or by quick text, or whether they do so through surrogates, such as aides, friends, relatives, other government officials, or whether in this case they decide to spontaneously convene an unannounced rally or meeting, so long as two or more are involved, these are all distinctions without a difference, and they are violations of the Sunshine Law, and they can lead to severe sanctions. I encourage you to read the rest of it. He concludes by saying, on the next page, when in any doubt as to whether a meeting or communication, either directly or indirectly between two or more government officials may be illegal under the Sunshine Law, the easy answer is to leave. And I will conclude on that note. I think it's something that you already know, but it's a little tough sometimes. One of the things that I see, not so much here, but in other meetings I go to, is there's chit-chat before the meeting officially starts. And the chit-chat has to be chit-chat, not public business until you go on the record and start the public meeting. So I do encourage you to read it and take it to heart, and I'm sure you'll never find yourself in Councilmember Gilliam's situation. Thank you.
Well, he really worked hard. Gotta give him credit for that. He really worked hard to get himself in this mess. I think we all take it pretty seriously. I've seen Kaya at the Publix. She won't even say hello to me. I don't know if it has something to do with sunshine or just in general.
That's not true.
No, but we all take it seriously, and I think it's critical to understand that, we hadn't seen much of this before this particular case, but you can go to jail for this. So we need to be very careful, and I think we are. Any other questions of Susan?
Seems clear.
Okay. Commissioner Mayfield.
I have a question about the number 2 under the staff comments before Sunshine Law in a minute.
Go ahead.
Were we doing something with that, or?
No, I think we just kind of skipped over it, but if you got a
It's not,
question.
no, I didn't, I just,
Yes.
yes, we did.
Well, I think the.
Did you talk about it and I missed it, or is
no,
it
you
just
didn't-
there
you
for
didn't
us to
talk
look
about
at?
it. Jack, can you fill us in on this
I just wondered why it
particular
was
item?
there, so I,
This is the one on the water retention and drainage review that's in the package.
Oh, yeah. If I may,
I'm sorry,
this,
go ahead.
no, that's okay. I apologize. The question came up from Commissioner Kurzman about what are we doing, about the engineering review of the water retention. Obviously, building officials who deal with the Florida Building Code, and they aren't engineers, so that's why we instituted that in the ordinance that we had and talked about it, and we actually had the first case come up on a house. So I just use that as an example of this is the arrangement that we have with CapTech Engineering to review those. Joe has either he does it or one of his staff. Terry does it. So, and that's what we plan on doing in the future when we get the water retention issue. So we are taking that serious, and it is now just part of the building permit fees that are in there, but we are recouping that cost dollar for dollar.
And did that come at a specific, was that as a result of a specific ordinance that we passed
Yes.
recently?
Yes, it was that last ordinance dealing with the water flow during construction.
Or during construction? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So that's why when these plans come in, they have to have their plan of how they're going to handle, maintaining the water on their property and the debris and so forth. And so Jack has got a process already in place and the fee structure, and it goes right through to CapTech. And
Okay.
so I didn't mean to pass it over. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
And then we also, Chloe's here. Chloe, do you want to give an update on the grants? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Commissioner Campo, yes.
Guys, I've got an open bar tab running over at Renato's, and I know some of my friends, it's probably getting quite high, so I think I'm going to duck out, and I really appreciate the honor of working with you. And January 1st or 2nd, you need anything, you call me anytime. We'll have coffee or just chat, and if there's anything I could do for the town, I'll do that. But I think at this point, what Chloe has to say is important and shouldn't be rushed, so I'm going to duck out, okay?
All right. Bye, James. Thank you.
How long is that tab going to be open over there, James?
Till at least just don't tell Susan. Yes, thank you. All good.
Well, now you can talk to them as much as you want.
After December 30th.
See, Paul?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Chloe Sewell with Gallo Pavo. I'm your grants consultant. So I was asked to do an update today, and I figured the best way to approach this is a beginning, middle, and end, kind of where we were, where we are, and where we're going. So to recap, now also, this is going to be very numbers heavy, and I'm verbalizing them, but they're very exciting numbers, so bear with me, please. So I'd like to just first, let's see, I have worked with you all, I thought it was 3 years, but I think it's about 2.5 now. And so in 2.5 years, the town has managed to receive under this grant program $3,419,525 for phase 3, $8.4 million for the septic to sewer, which we had an awesome groundbreaking yesterday for, an additional $1 million in appropriations for phase 3, and $2,900,000 for phase 2. I added it together, so in about 2.5 years, the town has done about $15,719,525 dollars. So they're big numbers. So over 15 million, and we're still going. So I want to also say a huge reason why I believe the town has been so successful is a big way I like to approach things is not like a shotgun where we're just scattering our efforts, but more of a rifle, and the team that you all have. So under your town manager, Bob, and then working with Joe Capra and his staff, and then Mariah too, we are in constant communication, and a big part of my job is advocacy and having the network to advocate, but some of these things are very spin on a dime, and I'm able to pick up the phone at any given moment and get answers within 10, 15 minutes. And I want to say I work with a couple other local entities. This is probably one of the most organized, one of the most structured, and one of the best teams. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here right now. It makes my job easy, and it makes you guys really ideal candidates for a lot of good money. So that's where we've come from. So to date, we have several grants out there. Most of the grants This has been a statewide thing. Project numbers are going up, as you all know, so we've put an additional over $5 million for Phase 2 and 3 so that we can meet those growing project costs. We've put an additional for South River Road, about $4 million ask, and then a couple million more for septic to sewer. There's also an appropriations request right now about to go into this legislative session for $1 million for, I believe it's Phase 3, because we got funded for Phase 2. So trying to meet those costs to make sure that these projects get done and that the town isn't footing the bill, but the increasing cost gets accounted for. And then moving forward, so we're still waiting to hear back on those grants that are out there. I'm going to predict with my magic ball probably early spring or late winter that we'll hear announcements from Governor DeSantis's office on those requests.
I'm
And
sorry,
then-
Chloe, could I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
Because I was curious about something. I was watching a board meeting from another organization earlier this week, and their grant writer had a list of projects, apparently came from the governor's office, a list of projects. And I don't know, there must have probably been 120 or 125 projects on it. And I was curious if you were familiar with that list, if we had any potential projects on that list, and what's the status of the approval for those projects? Because it sounded like some of them were multi-year projects. They weren't just for next fiscal year, but they're multi-year projects. Are you familiar with the list I'm talking about? I've been trying to find it or get somebody to tell me, give me a link to it, but I haven't been able to do that yet. Are you familiar with that list?
I'm wondering, the last thing I saw that the governor announced was a really big funding pot for projects specifically to those impacted by, I think it was Hurricane Ian. So I don't know if that's maybe the list, because there was a lot of local, because
No, I think this list came out maybe early last week. I don't think it's been out that long.
Okay.
I went to the government website, couldn't find it anywhere. So I'd appreciate if you could check on that and see if you can find anything out about that.
Sure. I think that the pots of money that you all are in the running for, I don't believe those have been, I mean, unless something I'm not aware of, but I have not seen those come out. They're usually pretty big announcements, and I haven't seen them. So I obviously will double check to see what lists. I know the governor is constantly funding things through different agencies, but I'll see. I have a feeling, though, that was a big project list for, it was kind of like water quality resiliency projects, though for specifically hit communities. But I'll double check. Absolutely.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, absolutely. So moving forward, legislative session, also for the record, starts January 9th formally. They've been in committee weeks for a few weeks now. They're in committee week now. And it ends on March 8th. And then we have a $1 million appropriations request in through Representative Snyder and Senator Harrell's office for additional funding for Phase 3, I believe. I always mix them up. And then another thing that just happened, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, the governor announced his budget for the environmental budget for the upcoming session. So generally how it works, and I like to recap you guys, is the governor has his agencies set a budget that he hopes that the legislative process will take up, so the House and the Senate. And they've been pretty parallel, so generally the legislative body has adopted those numbers. Maybe even more, like bigger pots of money. And so just a quick overview, this session, he's looking for $745 million for Everglades restoration, over $330 million for targeted water quality improvements, and out of that is $135 million for newly expanded water quality improvement grants, and then $100 million for projects that specifically address the Indian River Lagoon. So all of this is money that you all are eligible for additional projects. And then there's also $50.8 million to combat harmful algal blooms. So we will certainly be looking towards projects and additional funding for that. We'll see what we receive from the last cycle. Hopefully, like I said, soon, in the next couple weeks, and early January, February, maybe. And then I think that is an exciting time to continue to push ahead. So anything that you guys are looking to get funded, I think now is the time under this governor especially. And then real quick too, I was asked to give a very brief update on vacation rentals, sorry. So it's Senate Bill 280 has been filed. And some quick background, in 2011, and a couple years throughout, the legislature, they adopted legislation on vacation rentals because the hype with it. And what it did was it grandfathered in certain regulations from local entities, but then preempted certain other regulations. And so currently, I know the League of Cities is combating this bill because what it does is it loosens up the restrictions on local governments that did grandfather restrictions in. They can now have some flexibility if they want to loosen those restrictions, but it also reinforces certain preemptions currently as it's written that the state can have on the vacation rental process. So my intel shows that there is not a lot of cohesive leadership idea on how the bill will go. So like the Senate and the House and the leadership, they don't have a set plan for how they want vacation rentals to be legislated this session. And there's not a confirmation that this bill will go through, especially not in the form it's in. So there's a lot more to unfold on that. But the League of Cities is combating it right now because it does have preemptive tendencies.
You know, I was curious, and I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel, but I was wondering if you could give us some kind of a monthly report. So you went over about 10 different grants that you were talking about, which I had no idea we were working on any of those. I'm sure I knew you were working on some grants, just didn't know which ones. And I know about the appropriation because we went and talked. And I think that the last appropriation we went to was for Phase 2. I may be wrong, but I think it was for Phase 2. And the same as the one we went for last year. But I think it would really help us all if you could issue us some kind of a, quick monthly status about which ones you're working on and where they are in the process, that kind of thing. The other thing, I'm surprised you haven't asked this question yesterday. When Dr. Delaney was here a few weeks ago, she mentioned that Stewart had gotten some kind of a tree grant. And so I'm curious if you were looking into things other than the normal ones that we normally go after, in terms of water quality or that kind of thing.
So yes, we've been in discussion with that, and absolutely on the report. I think a monthly report would be helpful to give you an all-encompassing look. But when you look at that report, I want you guys to remember that a grant is so much more than just submitting a piece of paper. There's a lot of advocacy and discussion, and then even when that grant gets awarded, I know that your staff can tell you firsthand how much it takes in negotiation with the agencies to get the actual grant agreement to be in favor for the town and what you all can and can't do. And so that will be all encompassing. But now that I think we have a stronger foothold on, like I said, I like to do like a rifle approach. So what were the big priority projects? And to me, they were the South Sewell's Point, the reconstruction of the road, right? And then while you guys are breaking it up to be the concurrence of septic to sewer with it. And so now that we've got that handled and we've got momentum with that and it generates itself and the state understands it, I think we can start now expanding into different programs and tackling that list that you all created during the strategic planning session.
Vice Mayor Fender.
Great, thanks. Chloe, thanks for all the hard work. Appreciate the update. 3 points, and you reminded me of one. Certainly, I'll jump on board the tree grant if there's such a thing. If you hear of anything, let me know. But you rattle off a bunch of numbers, and the one number I took away was 15.7 million in the past. But I'd like to find the aggregate number for the future. Is there a quick number that says in our pipeline today and in the future we have 3.7 million grants that we're considering? Roughly, I'm not.
It's about 19 million
So you
for
think you're about
future,
19?
plus to add to the 15.
Okay.
And I think, the status report can show us some of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the only, since you brought up the tree thing, I'm also interested in anything out there about a waterfront resiliency. I know we have a dock that's at the end of one of our public areas that we'd like to try to renovate and make available to the public, and anything that's available to make more waterfront accessibility for the town. Certainly, we have lots of residents who live on the water, but we have lots of residents who live in the middle of the peninsula who need access to the water as well. And so while individual property buyers are buying up all the waterfront and sealing off access to it, we're looking for grants and things that make water availability accessible to the public. So if you see any kind of grants, I think there's a find, is that one of
Yes.
them? But there's probably other things I have no idea about, but just plant in the back of your mind if you see water access types of grants. I'm interested in talking.
And now is the time, especially for state money, because I can track through any ideas you all have. I can track it through the process. And then once those grants get released, we can be candidates for them, because that'll happen after the budget is passed in March, April, May, right? So we'll see summertime, those things will open up.
Commissioner Kurzman.
Yes, Chloe, does it help any if the commissioners actually are they present during when this money is like in legislature? I guess if we were to go up and speak how bad we need the money, does that go to the advantage of the town if we show our faces in Tallahassee when this is brought up versus just having you represent us?
I think it depends, honestly, on how the session is going and where it is in the budget. Right now, you have really strong legislative delegation behind y'all's name. So Representative Snyder carrying it across the board and Senator Harrell, they do a really great job that we don't generally have to be pushing too much, but they might actually say, listen, the way this is going, you might need to show up to a committee meeting, or we might need you to have a certain meeting. So I tend to revert to them because they can see how the process is unfolding, and they can figure out in the scheme of things what the negotiation looks like. So it actually may be very fruitful, but we kind of have to be very flexible during session time. And so I know something that's great about Bob is he understands that process. And so he's told me countless times, listen, if I need to get up there, I'm ready to get up there. And so what I'm trying to do to make his life easier is have those meetings now in the district so that they're closer, but those meetings may need to happen in Tallahassee, yes.
I'd like to see if there's any way possible to get this money expedited, to get these projects going. I mean, we're sitting right now with, we can't finish what we have before I add new stuff on. I'm looking to get more money in just to finish what we have. Plus, we need more, water resiliency is our biggest thing right now.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to our engineer. I mean, there might be places where we're talking about even building seawalls eventually down the line to get even grants for that, because as it gets more severe, we're looking to protect our little peninsula over here so we don't get flooded out. That's really numero uno on this, and whatever it takes, whether it's us being there, the town manager being there, we can't lose any grant money right now. We really have to fight for every penny, and we've already lost $1 million for sewer because of budget reasons with the county, and we need as much as we get from the state so we can finish all these projects off. So whatever you can let us know. I have to call Representative Snyder, I'll do such. It's hard to get a call back sometimes.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
So you want government to work fast, is that it, Dave? Okay.
No, but whatever we can do to help expedite.
Yeah, I think that holds true. Anybody here is available to help, and please just give us a holler if you'd like us to take a vacation trip up to Tallahassee or something. Any other questions for Chloe?
Thank you.
Okay.
Chloe.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
report. I appreciate that.
Thank you all. Sorry for messing up all the numbers. I have to learn how to read long numbers now.
Okay, we have any commissioner comments? Vice Mayor Fender.
I just wanted to thank the staff for the holiday party this weekend. I wasn't as present as I needed to be, but I'm always in favor of the tradition and supporting the community, and thanks to all the hard work from the chief as well and her staff and Bob's staff.
Thank you.
Great job.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes, thanks for doing to reiterate what Commissioner Fender said. I appreciate all the effort that goes into those events. And I was unable to make it also, but I think it's too late now, but I wanted to encourage my fellow commissioners to attend some of the League of Cities events. Tomorrow is a holiday luncheon, and I believe the town pays for the lunch, right? Or the league's pays.
The league does.
Yeah, the league pays. Sorry, I've been on it forever. I should know these things. But everyone's invited, all elected officials and staff, and some of the other municipalities get a lot of turnout. I think Ocean Breeze, I saw like the entire council there or something. But anyways,
They have like 20 members.
yeah, they have a big council. But anyways, I would encourage people to attend because there's usually some good stuff. There's a guest, I think the guest speaker is the president of the League of Cities. There's good stuff that goes on, so I encourage it.
Is that down on Salerno Road tomorrow?
No, this one is, because they changed the location for the holiday luncheon. It's at a restaurant in Port St. Lucie called Tutto Fresco or something.
Oh, okay.
And you get to say, I don't get a lot, it introduces you to a lot of places, more in St. Lucie County and Okeechobee. So.
Commissioner Kurzman.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate what everybody else said about the holiday party, and, the staff, they went all out, spent a lot of time, and I don't think a lot of people realize, but this starts early in the morning. They're the first ones here and the last ones to leave, and it's a lot of hard work, whether it's setting up tables, chairs, tents, it goes on. And the food, and to make things as perfect as they did an outstanding job once again. And I was really amazed by all the young families. I couldn't believe all the young kids and the magic show, the lights lighting up, and, I see the town getting younger and younger, so it's a pleasure to see that, actually.
Makes a healthy community.
I guess that means we're getting older and older. Okay, very good.
I do have one more thing, and
Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention to y'all in case you hear about it. Obviously, we use these commission facilities for Premier Realty. They do their meetings here every Monday, and they've also had a couple special meetings. And it's been open for some homeowners associations to come and do their meeting at night. Obviously, there's a security issue that we run into between keys, and because there wasn't a change of the locks for a period of time, we did that recently. And we've got a stain sitting here on the carpet that's kind of attributed to the use of the facility. It was there before we had our open house. It was actually, it wasn't there when we had our open house. It was actually, a function that was here on Monday during the daytime. So it's just things like that I'm going to be speaking with those individuals, but just in case you hear something, you'll know that you're not going to be surprised. Because we have to come to some type of a meeting point. I know, our businesses play a vital role in our community, but we also have to protect what's ours. And I think that's all part of my job, to make sure that our assets are maintained, and we want this place to look great, and the chief and our staff and her staff, we all work hard for that. And we'll be coming with probably some recommendations on things that we might want to try to do and rules to institute come January. But I just wanted to let y'all know.
Vice Mayor Kurzman.
Yeah, one of the things, and I've said it in the past, we've let this, other companies use this place. I'm not talking about residents, but I'm talking actually about companies coming in here using our facilities, and they're not paying anything for this. And I think sometimes it's unappreciated. Our staff that works here, they're not maids and servants. They're the town employees, and they do a great job. They already work very hard, and for them to have to go ahead and have to clean up after somebody, I don't know why we even have this open for anybody to have meetings outside of residents that actually live here. I understand the association meetings, but to have this and put more work on our staff, I'm not in favor of. And if we were to do so, there's got to be a good fee in charge so we could bring in outside people to clean up after this. It shouldn't be dependent on anybody that works here. And these are the town employees, and I'll reiterate that. And I don't feel they should have to come in and clean up anybody's mess, especially if it's an outside company. And I've talked to a few of the employees here, and it's not right.
Okay, we'll leave that up to you to take care of.
Thank you.
I noticed the chief's getting close to the microphone. Is there a reason for that?
I also just wanted to thank all of the staff, and you kind of touched on it, but this event takes probably well up to a month to organize, and I can rest assured that it's not just me. You know, Kathy in the police department really takes the lead. You've got to book stuff, 9 months out. We've got performers, we've got equipment, we have people that need to be here. I think there's probably very few town employees who, when they signed up, knew that they'd be doing catering and waitressing. Yet that's part of their job task during these particular events. Members of the police department, we'll just call them as part of the performing arts in case there's any children watching. It is a staff-wide event. Jeff spends better part of a week, with Jack's assistants doing things around the building, getting everything here prepped so that it looks perfect. When you drive by at night, it's looking good. It's not a one-day thing. And then this year, we had the great honor of make sure you quick hurry up and clean it up because we got another one tomorrow with the grand opening for the sewer the following day. So I do just want to make sure that everyone recognizes that there's not a single member of the staff that didn't work very hard to make sure that this went well this year, just like they do every single year and at every other town event. This isn't a TINA event. A lot of folks are taking on a lot of other responsibilities as time goes on so that the traditions can continue. So I just want to thank them as well.
Thank you, Chief. Any other?
Just one other thing, too. If you haven't noticed the remodeling of the lobby area, Town Hall, and that's obviously the design work between Crystal and April, and the hard work that Jeff and Jack put in. So, that whole project could have been, $30,000, $40,000, and we did it under 10. So it was just, my hat's off to Jack and his group too.
Great job,
Hey,
Yeah, it looks
does
real-
look good.
Nice. Okay, any other comments? Hope everybody has a happy and safe holiday.
Our first meeting is,
January 9th. Did I say June?
Okay, June.
Must have been a Freudian slip. January 9th.
okay.
Motion to adjourn?